cannabis clinics see rise in patients. This is in the UK, where we have somewhat medicalized legal cannabis. And yeah, they're seeing a rise in patients, but we don't know why because, cannabis isn't even a medicine. That's why it's not available on the NHS. So I don't know why we're seeing numbers rise, right? I'm not even going to start, man. These motherfuckers, these hypocrite motherfuckers. Right, so at a glance, this is what it says at the top of this news article. And this is from the BBC as well, so of course, pinch of salt. At a glance, medical whole cannabis was legalized in 2018 after a campaign to make it available to children with severe epilepsy. And that was by Hannah Deacon and Joanne Griffiths, all these ladies back in 2018. And we've had many of them on the show, so make sure you check those episodes out, the interviews, if you want to know more about those stories. But yes, it was made medical. It was made legal for medical use in 2018. Then we have here, private clinics are seeing a rise in patients, but the drug has only been prescribed to a handful of people on the NHS. I think that's 3 people as well. It's not many at all. Campaigners are calling for it to be more widely available to give patients more treatment options. What they need to do first, right, is they need to make money more available to people in this country so they can afford to buy this fucking shit at the extortionate cost that they charge. You know what I'm saying? I was
just curious, what's that extortionate cost that they're charging the patients right now?
I think it's about £50 for 10 grams or something like that. And you might think it'd be like, yeah, that's not so bad. But how much does it cost to produce this shit? We all know how much it costs to produce this shit. We have the NHS here in the UK where we don't pay ridiculous amount of money for our medicine. So if this is being used for medical use and it's working to the extent where more people are trying it, then it should be available on the NHS, and more needs to be done to make sure that this happens sooner.
Yeah, you got it good, bro. Yeah, I mean, we're in my medical market here. We're paying anywhere from $14 to $20 a gram. So
damn,
it's horrible, and that's why I don't buy very much of it. I only buy the tub. But anyway, sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Just the last one there in that section. It says, but the government says more evidence of the drug's benefits is needed. Yeah. And there'll never be enough evidence until they're happy. The evidence they want to see is how much money will this put in my bank account over the next year? That's what they want to see. Private cannabis clinics are seeing a rise in patients as people choose the drug to treat chronic pain and mental health conditions. They tell us all the time that it causes psychosis and all of this shit. And then they also say that it gets used for mental health conditions. It's fucking wild, man. I swear. Who comes up with this shit? One medical cannabis clinic in Westminster, Mamadika. I think we had trouble pronouncing this word before. Mamadika. It's Mamedica. There we go. Yes. Mamedica is the name. Right. We got there. I got it after I started sounding it out, like phonetically, like a 4-year-old. Yeah, so Mamedica said it had seen the number of patients increase by more than 10 times in 2023, rising from 250 to 2,750. So, and this is just probably because the word is getting out there more. It's like it's been legalized for medical use for a while, but they don't advertise it very much. I've seen some adverts on YouTube. I don't really watch terrestrial TV, that old school shit. So I don't know if they have adverts like that. Which normal people are going to see, probably do, right? But anyway, so just probably more people are being made aware of it, and give it a few more years, it's going to be 10 times again. There's a lot more people going to be using it. But CEO John Robson said this was down to a large number of patients who are transitioning to us, not just from the illicit market, but because they haven't found the treatments that the NHS can provide to be sufficient for their conditions, and also getting a prescription, seeing a doctor. It's getting more and more difficult all the time. With the crumbling of the NHS due to lack of funding, bastards. But maybe that will change soon with a new government. We'll see. The majority of patients at the clinic take medical cannabis for psychiatric conditions such as anxiety and depression, with 40% taking the drug to treat chronic pain. In a statement, the Department for Health and Social Care said that licensed cannabis-based medicines are routinely funded by the NHS, where there is a clear evidence for their quality, safety, and effectiveness. But it added that most products on the market are unlicensed medicines, and clinical guidelines from the National Institute for Health and Care Excellence demonstrate a clear need for more research to support routine prescribing and funding decisions on the NHS. And this is something we spoke about with Charlotte Caldwell, who was on the show not so long ago, 3-4 interviews ago. I don't know. It's recently in the feed. So if you want to listen to that interview, definitely go and check it out if you haven't heard about it. But she brought up the point of the NHS have done all they can. At this point, we need these companies that like Memedica, for example, or Curaleaf, or, there's many of these companies making cannabis medicines in the UK. Them motherfuckers have to go out and get the studies done before it can become available on the NHS. And they're doing fine as it is. So there's no reason to put the money in to get it onto the NHS. It's too expensive for them or something. She explained it better than I can, but it kind of made sense. And the responsibility now is on the companies that are making this cannabis. They need to prove its efficacy before they can move forward with it. You know what I mean? So yes, definitely check out that interview if you haven't heard it. It's a good one. One patient taking the drug for chronic pain is Julie Gould from Wimbledon in South London. The 64-year-old started using medical cannabis in 2020 after being diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in her 30s. I got permanent damage. My walking's affected. My bowel, my bladder is affected, she says, comparing one of her symptoms to someone hammering your brain with an ice pick. Doesn't sound cool. She used paracetamol, which was, I think that's Tylenol in the USA. She used paracetamol and ibuprofen to relieve the pain until her neurologist prescribed her with amitriptyline, a pain medication also used as an antidepressant. I was able to read amitriptyline just like that, but I had a problem with the word Memedica. Why? God damn. The human brain is a complicated thing sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Maybe I'm just high. Marge encouraged me to smoke too much cannabis.
I did.
Blaming that
game.
But the drug aggravated the symptoms of another condition, restless leg syndrome. Oh my God, another tangent. You get restless leg? Anybody get restless leg syndrome? You're in bed trying to sleep and your leg just doesn't want to fucking stay still.
Somebody I don't have the syndrome, but I feel like I've had it before.
Mm-hmm. It's not like I get it every night, but some nights.
Yeah.
I find it's when I get cold feet or something. It bothers me.
It's annoying.
Shout out to all those. Yeah. There might be people in bed right now with restless leg listening to this podcast. Shout out to you guys, man. We understand the struggle. But again, I'm going on a tangent. We'll carry on. Restless leg syndrome, which causes an unpleasant crawling or creeping sensation in the legs. This isn't even on the screen. Miss Gould wants the drug to be heavily subsidized, adding that it become too expensive for most people, especially if they need to take it more regularly to manage their symptoms. Because obviously, some people are going to need it more than others. Mackie, you got ADHD? Yes, probably. It should be heavily subsidized. I can remember going to my GP saying, I don't think I'm going to make it through. I haven't slept for 2 days and I really can't cope with this. I remember bursting into tears in front of her and she looked at me and said, as we get older, we all get aches and pains. Yeah, I feel that, bro. God damn. Miss Gould started taking medical cannabis oil after getting a prescription through a private clinic and says it instantly stopped the nerve pain she experiences. In my view, it's just a miraculous drug, she says, adding that it helped her through withdrawals after she was put on a new medication for her restless leg syndrome. She now only uses the medicine occasionally, but is concerned about how she would afford it if her symptoms got worse. In 2020, 100 milliliters of the oil I used cost about £150 sterling. Now that same 100 milliliter is 350. It sounds like the Loch Ness Monster is trying to sell her some oil.
Pretty much.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, ridiculous amount of it. I mean, that's more than double, isn't it? Just over more than double.
Yeah, man.
And that's from Sativex as well. So yes, it's clear. I mean, this article goes on for a while. It's quite a long one, but you can tell from here that the medical cannabis system in the UK is a little bit fucked, man. It's something that we're not used to here. We pay for a prescription, but we wouldn't pay much money for it. I think it depends where you are in the country. I think Scotland get it for free. Anybody under the age of 16 get it for free, or if they're in full-time education, they'll get it for free. And then you pay like a tenner for the prescription if you're older than that, but it's not much. Well, but when you go to collect your cannabis from these private clinics, they're charging, you know, the 50. Somebody in the chat there said £65 for the 10 grams, and it's not great quality, you know. And the strains change, so you never know if this one's going to work compared to the last time. You know, there's problems with it as well. It's not a perfect system. It's something, but it's definitely not perfect. And you know, it's people can't afford it, man. There's this cost of living crisis that's going on around the world right now, not just in the UK. And people can, you know, the belly of it's when winter comes around, you have to pay for your heating as well. People can't afford to be paying that stupid amount of money.
Well, you know, in this article you're reading here, the big thing about this whole thing is medical cannabis in the UK just needs to be very much like it is in Canada, where you can grow your own. You know, that's the way you really make it affordable and accessible for everybody.
I'm really skeptical that they will ever allow that. The UK is like health and safety mad. They'll be like, oh, the lights get too hot. Or, you know, there might be fire. There's going to be mold spores. It's just not safe because we generally do live in a nanny state. The government dictates so much because they don't want us hurting ourselves. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous, man.
I'm laughing about the lights get too hot because obviously they're thinking about old school HPS, you know?
Oh, no. And the LEDs, mate. And the LEDs. Dude, oh, that's far too hot, mate.
I can hold it. I can take any one of my LEDs and literally hold it in my hand when it's been running for hours, and it won't burn me. It will not burn me.
If a child touches it,
you'll get warm. You'll be warm. That's it.
I know this.
It will not burn you no matter where you touch an LED. Well, the ones I have.
Damn. It's ridiculous, man. The health and safety measures that they do in the UK. But, you know, this is the thing that gets highlighted the most here in this article, I think, is just that the use of medical cannabis is increasing. You know, the clinics are seeing a rise in patients. So
you know what? It would increase even more. I have a feeling in the UK it would increase even more if they would actually start advertising and letting people know they can have it.
Yep.
And if they would take these barriers away, making you go to a private clinic and all that stuff, I guarantee you'd have a lot more people signed up.
Yeah. And there's people as well who are using cannabis for medical use that they want to stay under the radar. You know, there's lots of home growers out there, for example, who you don't need to go to the clinic. You don't need to tell anybody about anything. You provide yourself with cannabis. There's so many people using cannabis for medicine for so many different things here in the UK. And it's about time the government recognized that and did something about it. And hopefully the new government will be able to do something, but we'll see.
Right. Yeah.
And, good point there from Four Plants in the chat. He says, can't get house insurance with a medical license in Canada using safety as the reason. And, you know, Canada is very, very similar to the UK in that aspect, man. So
that's weird.
Being a thing.
Yeah.
I wonder how that would apply to me, as in I do not grow in my house. I grow in a separate building. I wonder. No telling.
Yeah, man. But yes,
but I mean, in the U.S. insurance is not an issue because we have lots of people growing in legal states, and I've never heard of anybody being turned down for insurance.
Yeah,
that's just a loophole. I honestly believe that the insurance companies are trying just to get you on.
Yeah, piss take.
Yeah, man.
But anyway, if you have enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you for the full show on Sundays on youtube.com/high on homegrown. Thanks for watching.